Hey guys, it's Trevy the Great here again with another report of sorts. This is a report for a 35-point Steamroller tournament that I ran a couple weeks ago. Before we get to that, I've been sort of out of the battle report video making scene lately. That's because my summer has been super busy, and my summers tend to be very busy. Commissions usually pick up in the summer, so I've been doing a lot of painting. I'm also working pretty much full-time and taking classes, so craziness all over the place. Apparently growing up sucks, so yeah. But I think that I can get some time in, squeeze some time in here and there to get some battle reports up. I do play Warmachine like a fiend a couple days a week. I throw down for a game or two, so usually I have enough games to make some cool reports. And so stay tuned for those, and I will get them out to you. So this 35-point Steamroller tournament, if you've been following my blog, you'll know that I have been running a Journeyman League at my local game store that started at Battle Box level, moved it up all the way up to 35. So this was a celebration of the end of the Journeyman League. It was at the 35-point level. All of the scenarios used were very beginner-friendly. We used only the duel and the flank scenarios out of the Steamroller pack. No reinforcements, none of that shenanigans. So just some pretty simple scenarios. And as far as I know, it went over pretty well. There was no real confusion on the scenarios. There were a couple people confused on the Steamroller rules themselves. Basically, people not reading the Steamroller rules, even though I told them to beforehand. And we had one player drop at round 2 for basically he didn't know a rule and felt that he didn't really want to continue with the tournament, which I guess is fair. So we started with 9 players. I played a Ringer Army in the first 2 rounds, and I have some battle reports of those to show you guys. And then obviously after one player dropped, we were down to 8 people, so we ended up playing 3 rounds total. And during the last round, I was able to sit in on the final game and answer some rules questions and things. So stay tuned, and I'll talk about some of the more interesting games of the tournament. And then in the future, stay tuned for some more battle reports. I think I'm going to get back into the groove of making videos. So cool! I'll just show you guys a couple pictures here of the rounds I played, the Ringer Army, the Ringer rounds that I played, playing the Ringer Army. I got this. I'm cool. I was playing 2 lists just like everybody else, just sort of get in the groove of it, and to try to play these lists out a little bit and see how they played. My first list was an Epic Striker, just infantry horde list. It had obviously Striker, Rudewood, Rupert Carvolo, Journeyman Warcaster, and Rowdy. Lots of R's in there. Rupert, Rowdy, Rudewood, and R. I had a UMax unit of Sword Knights because they're cool. Max unit of Precursor Knights for the crazy Weapon Master thing. And then a unit of Stormblades with their UA so that I could get some POW 15s on whatever I wanted. 17s under positive charge. And they get some assault shots off and basically be a counterpunch unit. So pretty happy about that. Just a whole ridiculous number of infantry running up the board. The army I played first round was an P Butcher sort of AoE spam army. Just well, not actually spam, but basically a P Butcher shooting army. It had a unit of Doom Reavers, Berserker, Juggernaut, the Battle Engine, and a unit of Rifle Corps with Covenant Joe. And pretty straightforward game. Basically, he had the shooting advantage, so basically I had to come to him. So I was running up with my Sword Knights. He feated to kill my Sword Knights and do a bunch of damage to my my other infantry units. But he had moved up too close. I was able to get Rowdy up in there with positive charge on him and 1 round his Battle Engine. And I got a couple hits up on his Doom Reavers, and then I feated to bring Rowdy back as far as I could, and then kill the rest of the Doom Reavers. But at that point, his Juggernaut and his Berserker were in range of Rowdy, so under full throttle they went in and beat Rowdy up pretty bad, but then all the Precursors went in, popped Morrow's name, and wiped them out, along with the Stormblades, and that basically left us with a bunch of infantry in the middle of the board. He had his Rifle Corps. I had a couple Precursors left, I think just a couple models out of the Precursors in the Sword Knight units, as well as Rupert, the Journeyman, and Runewood. So what ended up happening was he basically moved up to the middle of the board to put scenario pressure on me, and I was able to run in with Striker and take an assassination run off Butcher. I think I had taken some damage, so I think I 2d6 overloaded and got, I think, power and strength 22 or so. Butcher was camping a bunch of focus, as well as iron flesh. I was able to kill his war dog with runewood. Pretty cool. And so Striker went in, tried to kill Butcher, and just was like whiff, 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 and I hit him once and did a couple points of damage, and then Butcher just like beat up on Striker. So pretty straightforward game. I failed my assassination run, lost a bunch of dudes, but pretty cool game, and definitely tough matchup. He had pretty much exactly what he needed to kill all my guys. So pretty sweet match. In round 2, I played my Kara Sloan army against the Durgan Madhammer Highborn Covenant army, which was pretty cool. You don't see Durgan Madhammer out there too often, but he's a pretty cool caster. If I can remember off the top of my head, my Kara Sloan list has a unit of gun mages with their UA, a unit of precursors with their UA, Arlen Strangeways, and Reinhold, and big old Stormwall. You can see I painted up my Stormwall there. It's pretty cool looking. I'll have to get some photos of that up at some point in the future. It's pretty sweet. I got a lot of comments on it from various people. So yeah, pretty cool. So basically this game lasted like ridiculously short. What ended up happening was we basically ran our infantry units into those zones there and took some pot shots at each other a couple times. Durgan moved up, and I don't think he popped his feet. He moved up and tried to carpet bomb a bunch of my precursors out from behind the wall in the zone to try to clear them out, and was just completely out of position and basically got shot twice in the head by Kara Sloan and died. So I guess that was the whole game. It was pretty uneventful, to be honest. We had some cool gunfights between the long gunners and the gun mages, but considering the gun mages get Deadeye and the long gunners are defense low, even with cover, they tend to die really quickly. So I think this could have been a tough matchup just because Durgan has a lot of AoEs that can really hurt Kara. Her armor's not too high, so but he basically just moved out of position, and I killed him. So I really couldn't pass the assassination opportunity up. It was still a pretty cool game. We actually played a second game after this, and I think we almost ran out of time at the end, but it was quite a bit closer. My opponent kept his Durgan screened a little bit better so that he didn't just get killed by Kara Sloan and the Stormwall. But yeah, pretty quick. So with those over, obviously one player dropped after the second round, so we were down to 8 players, and I didn't need to play a ringer army anymore. So I ended up just basically spectating the last round and answering any rules questions that people had and all that sort of stuff. So I guess I'll show you guys some photos of the tournament and just talk about what happened. This is a circle player, obviously, versus a Scorn player. The Scorn player is actually really new to the game. He only started a couple months ago with the Journeyman League that I ran at my local game store. So he was really new to the game, but ended up coming second in the tournament and beat out some pretty experienced players to get there. So pretty good on him. He's turning out to be a pretty fine player. This was a pretty interesting game between the Durgan Manhammer player and Retribution of Syra player playing Gareth. It was pretty back and forth pretty much the whole game from what I saw. I don't actually remember who won off the top of my head. It was actually pretty close to the end. Obviously, Durgan has enough AoEs to really deal with a lot of those light armor infantry like the Mage Hunters, Mage Hunter Strike Force, and Mage Hunter Assassins. So I think he dealt with those pretty quickly. And then it was basically 2 Weapon Master Infantry units fighting each other and over the course of the whole game. And I don't remember who won, but I do remember Gareth going on an assassination run against Durgan, and I think he might have failed. He was trying to shoot him with his pistols and get a couple hits on with the Dawnguard Sentinels, but I think Durgan ended up feeding to kill Gareth. So it was pretty, like I said, very interesting game. Super back and forth. I had no idea who was going to win pretty much the whole time. This is the top tables match, the finals match. It was pretty interesting, actually, way more than I thought it would be. It was, if I remember correctly, P. Vale versus P. Morgul. So this giant Scorn brick beast list, and P. Vale with 3 heavy war beasts and just a bunch of solos. Pretty crazy. I thought it was going to be pretty one-sided. The Legion player is a very good, just fundamentally good player, and that obviously the Scorn player is the one I talked about earlier. He's very new to the game. And he was playing very, very defensively, bricked up around the Basilisk Kriya's Animus, like very hard, and just tried to contest those zones as far as possible, and got absolutely wrecked by shooting. And And from what I heard, the Legion player had some really good dice rolls, and Typhon was able to do a whole bunch of damage with his 3 sprays. So I thought it was going to be a pretty one-sided game. I ended up sitting in on it towards the end, but I missed how most of it went. But I guess what happened is that the Legion player obviously went in with his feet and was able to do a bunch of yo-yo attacks and come in and do hit and run basically, and ended up taking out, I think, the scored player's bronze back pretty early on, which is kind of a big deal because the bronze back's big beat stick. The Legion player also had a couple Strider Deathstalkers, hang out in the woods to the sides that the Scorn player really couldn't deal with, and they were just picking off his Pain Givers and his little solos like that pretty easily. But when it came down to the end, I think it was the Titan Gladiator and Morgul and possibly an Archidon and a couple solos and things. I think Aptimus Marketh was in there as well, and Marketh was able to torment Typhon, so his excessive healing didn't really work, and Morgul actually went up and just killed Typhon all by himself, I think with the help of possibly a Cyclops. Yeah, that's it. He had a Cyclops Brute with him as well, just hanging out. So Typhon went down, which was kind of a big deal, and I think the Gladiator was able to take down the Scythian that the Legion player had basically in the late game. Through the shooting from the Legion player's Ravagore and spells and the Deathstalkers, I think he was able to take down the Gladiator and I think whatever else was there. But Morgul basically ended up camping in one zone. He sent the Brute off to the other side, the other zone, to basically try to. The only thing that was in the zone was the Ravagore. So just try to dice the Ravagore, and I think he ended up failing. The Ravagore wasn't able to kill him in close combat though, and the Brute walked up to Vale and tried to kill her, but he didn't know about Dark Sentinel, and I think the Ravagore was able to just kill the Brute at that point. So pretty close game. Ended up with Morgul sitting in one zone, and eventually he just got shot to death by the Ravagore and the Deathstalkers. And but much more exciting than I expected to be. Very bloody and a very close game. They almost ran down their time. They were within a minute or two of the clock running out. So as a finals game, it was suitably epic and intense, and I was very happy with it. So the winners really deserved their wins. It was a hard-fought match, and I hope that they come back for the next tournament that I decide to run. So this was my first tournament being run ever. I felt that it went pretty smoothly. I actually had a really good time running it. I had no idea that running a tournament could be as fun as it is. So I'm going to be looking to run a couple more tournaments in the future. Hopefully get some videos of those out to you guys as well. And as always, stay tuned for Batreps and battle reports and things like of that nature that I hopefully will be getting out to you sometime in the future. I have a storm wall that needs to stomp things, and I need to take pictures of it. So, stay tuned.